What's going on, guys? It's Daniel from CoinSpots here. I hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday. We got a little bit of red going on CoinMarketCap for pretty much everything, but that's all right. We're going to be getting into some Bitcoin TA today, as well as EOS and ZRX, more so for potential accumulation opportunities and kind of to take a look at what typically happens when a coin tops out and what patterns to look for in the charts. In addition to this, we're going to be taking a look at three pieces of news. Coinbase's new kind of custodial and institutional products that it just came out. Circle releasing or planning to release a new stablecoin. And then briefly, we're going to look at Bing blocking or not allowing cryptocurrency ads any longer. So, we're taking a look at Bitcoin yesterday. And I had the cloud up, and I was talking about how I kind of had this bid on the Kijun here, and I took a very brief trade all the way up to around the 8,000 or so level, high 8,000s, because we just touched this daily SR level and we formed this bearish pin bar candle here, and with that I exited the trade. And I was talking about yesterday how this weekly level needed to hold in order to provide some kind of support or continuous support to break through the 8,900 level. But as I said, since this weekly level has been pretty much continuously hammered, usually when that happens, it's a sign that that level is going to break, right? If a support level is just continuously hammered without any time in between, any breathing room, I guess you could call it, typically it's not going to hold. So right now, my plan of action is looking at anywhere between the 7,800 level and 7,500 to 7,600 in terms of accumulation. Now, on the daily, it's not exactly clear, so we're going to get a bit more granular and go into the 4-hour. First of all, one thing to note is this bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. Basically, if you don't know what a bullish divergence is, it's when price makes a lower low, but the RSI indicator makes a higher high. So as you can see right here, price was at around 8,200-ish, and the RSI indicator was all the way down here at around 20. Price is now making a lower low at around 8,100. However, the RSI indicator is at 30. So this right here is just a textbook bullish divergence. Could mean something. However, it's not good just to trade based on divergences, right? You want a confluence of indicators. So basically what I'm looking at now is these two levels. This 7,800 level, which is one that a lot of people are talking about because it's a pretty clear level with this low right here that we had to bounce off of. However, I think a key level that some people are missing is this 7,500 to 7,600 level, because as you can see, we had right here, right before this bull run, short-term bull run, obviously, and after this huge bullish candle, we had this little touch here at around 7,600 on the dot. And that's kind of what got this whole run starting. So it is possible that this high here at 7,500 can become an SR level, and we dip, bounce right off of this, and that resistance becomes support, and we shoot right up. That's also a possibility. So that 7,800 level right here, in addition to this 7,500 to 7,600 level, is what I'm going to be looking at to accumulate some more Bitcoin. If you have bids at 7,800, that's totally fine because it's a couple $100 difference. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, especially when you're trading Bitcoin. But keep your eye on these two levels. I would set a portion of your bid at 7,800-ish, right around this level here. And then just as a safety, a bigger portion of what you're going to be allocating to buy in anywhere between 76 and 75.50. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. But I don't think we're necessarily going to break this 7,500 level. If we do, I'll honestly be kind of surprised, but that's not really in the scope of my mind right now. Going back to the 6K, obviously, if we break this little pink box here, if that happens, I'll have to, readjust my TA. But as of right now, that's kind of what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Moving on to EOS. So I was saying how I wanted to use the EOS and ZRX chart kind of as an example, and then also set up some levels for accumulating these two coins. Two great projects, by the way. So in the past, week or two, we saw EOS and ZRX just crush it, talking over 100% gains, over 200% gains. Honestly, let's just take a look right now. Oh man, 400% gains almost. And we took out the previous high here. So obviously, this is the big resistance level that, or SR level for that matter, that you guys should be looking at for EOS, right? It did provide a brief support here before shooting up again and obviously breaking these all-time highs. And now we're retesting this level again. I do believe it is a Fibonacci level as well. Oh no, we're at the Fibonacci level. Excuse me for this. Again here if we turn on the cloud, right here at this Kijun that has confluence with the 0.5 Fibonacci level, that would be a good point or a good area to start accumulating some EOS, right? Very strong confluence between two indicators. And as I said, it does have confluence with one of the three main Fibonacci retracement levels that I do trade, which is the 0.382, the 0.5, and the 0.618. So accumulating a little bit at this Kijun level would not have been a bad idea. But I think the level that a lot of people have their eyes on is this weekly support / resistance level that we're going to come back to. If not, then we're going to be looking at this 96,000 Satoshi level here. Honestly, for me, I don't see us breaking this blue box area. Personally, I just don't think that's going to happen. So now I do want to get a little bit more granular, as we are going to do with ZRX. And just taking a look at the patterns that typically happen once a coin tops out. So we can see here, this is right here at the top. This is the new high that EOS has formed. And then here we have this little dip, but a failure to break that high. Again, we come down, another failure to break the high, and then another failure to break that high. Excuse me. So you can see this downtrend line forming here. 1, 2, 3 touches-ish. And after that forms, we have this little breakout to some of the previous highs. So this right here was a previous high, and this little wick right here that touch that short-term downtrend line, and we break those highs, but then a massive dump continues. So this kind of pattern is typically what happens after a coin tops out. And I'm going to show you with ZRX, it's going to be pretty much the same exact thing. So if we go here and zoom in into the 1 hour, the same thing happens. Here's our high, dip, failure to break that high, and we keep just bumping up against this short-term downtrend line, right? We have a pump that takes out this previous high right here, boom, and then the dump ensues. So this is kind of a idea, or I shouldn't necessarily call it a pattern. It's just, I guess an idea would be what you would call it, because this is typically what happens after a coin tops out and what happens after, right? Because once this high gets, or one of these previous highs gets broken, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, wow, okay, time to buy back in, right? This was just a temporary dip, but look at that, right? What's the word for it? Bullish, I can't think of the word right now, or the phrase on the top of my head, but we do break down after that. So this kind of idea is something you should keep in mind when a coin is just skyrocketing and you're thinking about buying in, right? So taking a zoom out to look at the support levels that you could be accumulating some ZRX at, the previous high has been taken out in terms of support. It did not provide support. However, if we do a quick fib retracement, no, there is no confluence of these levels. But this blue box is definitely one to keep your eye on. We had support, resistance here, down, 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 resistance here, support here before taking off. So I think this is a very key SR level to have your eyes on. And if not that one, then this level here, my line got moved. I think, because I think I had I turned off log accidentally. But this level, resistance, down, resistance, resistance, support, right? These two key levels are going to be important to watch. I like EOS. I don't think that this blue box area is going to break. That's just personally my opinion. Obviously, don't take any of this as financial advice. The common thread I want to get through these videos is it's kind of a journal for me progressing through the cryptocurrency space and sharing my ideas with you. I learned from other people, and I'm still learning now. And, I hope other people can learn from kind of what I'm doing and what I'm thinking about the market right now. But I think the big lesson to learn from both ZRX and EOS here is probably the most important lesson I've learned throughout trading cryptocurrency, and that is to let price come to you and to let the trades come to you. You don't want to be FOMO buying into these altcoin runs, because while, yes, potentially it could be profitable, right? Especially during altcoin season, if the coin goes up 100% and you're like, man, this thing needs a pullback, and then the next day it goes up 250%, right? That's totally possible within an altcoin run, but we're not in an altcoin run. Actually, the majority of the year is not an altcoin run. So one of the most important lessons is to let price come to you. Find strong SR levels on high time frames, usually the daily, sometimes the weekly, even though altcoins, for the weekly, there isn't enough data to determine any solid levels. So usually you're going to be using the daily chart. Find some key SR levels and start accumulating some of that whatever token you want at those levels. So yeah, moving on to the news about Coinbase bringing out a ton of institutional products. So basically, this is actually interesting here. Over the past few months, there's been 100 hedge funds created exclusively for cryptocurrency. That alone should be a solid enough reason for you to believe that this thing is going to be here for the long term, right? 100 hedge funds exclusively to trade in cryptocurrency. That's pretty crazy. With all of the FUD news going around, people saying that, Bitcoin is this, Bitcoin is that, all negative. 100 hedge funds created solely to invest in cryptocurrency. That's pretty crazy, right? They wouldn't make these hedge funds for no reason. So definitely something interesting or a solid piece of information to keep in mind. Apart from that, Coinbase has basically just added to its custodial service, and it's basically SEC regulated. Coinbase custody, right, is just them trading on your behalf, basically. I forgot what the minimum amount of money is, but it's in the millions of dollars that you need to set up a Coinbase custody account, and Coinbase will basically manage that money for you. In addition to that, we have the Coinbase Prime, which is pretty much like GDAX, but for institutional investors. I think this is over the counter. It is over the counter. So this Coinbase Prime isn't going to be fluctuating the price of Bitcoin like it would on GDAX. So over the counter basically means that it's not affecting the supply and demand of the regular token on the exchanges. So if, for example, you go on GDAX and you put in a $5 million order for Bitcoin, that's obviously going to be driving the price up. And honestly, I don't even know if there's the liquidity for that amount on GDAX. But that huge buy order would insanely increase the price of whatever token. So over-the-counter basically allows big money to buy crypto without affecting the price, or the general price, right? The one that you see on CoinMarketCap. And then in addition to that, there's this Coinbase coverage group, which is just basically an asset to institutional investors, kind of getting them more tuned in into cryptocurrency and maybe how to trade, trading ideas, client support, stuff like that, right? So the common thread, honestly, over these past few Coinbase updates that have been coming out on the blog is that they're really geared into institutional clients, right? Because I think they made the claim that this would kind of free up like $10 billion that are sitting on the sidelines, because the number one issue for big money is security. So tightening up the security and making these platforms pretty much catered to institutional investors, they're hoping to bring in that $10 billion. And as you all know, Coinbase is just killing it right now in terms of profits, right? I think how much they underestimated the amount of profits that they had in quarter 4 of 2017, or was it quarter 3? I think they did like $1 billion in revenue or something crazy like that. So freeing up this $10 billion and getting it in with trading fees and custodial services, man. Coinbase is just absolutely killing it right now in the crypto space. But honestly, this is something to just keep your eye on, because what Coinbase does for institutional investors is going to be a hint on what comes or what trickles down basically to GDAX and then eventually Coinbase, right? I think on one Coinbase blog post, they basically said that institutional products are going to be the first ones that are updated. So if there's a new coin, it's going to go to the institutional exchange first, right? It's going to go to Coinbase custody first, and pretty much anything that they do. So definitely Coinbase institutional products are what you want to be looking for hints basically on what can, eventually come to GDAX. So yeah, moving on to Circle. I think this was announced at the Consensus conference here in New York, the Bitcoin conference, that Circle is teaming up with Bitmain, I believe, yes, to launch a US dollar-backed coin. And obviously, the whole concept of a stable coin has been pretty debated in the cryptocurrency space, because right now, obviously, the most popular one is Tether, and a lot of people question the legitimacy of Tether. It's believed that Tether basically injects money into the crypto, or into their Bitfinex platform, which is then basically used for margin trading, and it inflates the price of Bitcoin. And people question whether the amount of Tether that they have is actually backed by actual US dollars that they have in reserves, right? Because there's been no audit on Tether, so a lot of people are skeptical about it. What's honestly pretty funny is that the US government does the same thing in terms of printing money and injecting it into the economy to stimulate it, right? So Tether being injected into the cryptocurrency economy, I guess you could say, to, stimulate the prices, inflate the prices. And it's honestly really interesting, because at the end of the day, a stable coin is something that's has to be backed by faith in something at the end of the day, right? Any Tether, for example, or this new stable coin that Circle and obviously Poloniex, right? Because Circle acquired Poloniex, so Poloniex would be the one using this new stable coin. USDC, that's what it is here. USDC. It's backed by a faith in the dollar at the end of the day, right? So any kind of stable anything has to be backed by faith, unlike pretty much cryptocurrency in general, right? So I know I'm kind of harping on the negative sides of stable coins. I think one of the benefits that this is going to have in the cryptocurrency economy is that it's going to allow, or it's going to make it easier for regular people to start trading altcoins or buying into altcoins, because one of the biggest, I guess, confusion points that a lot of people always mention is the fact that the altcoin is pegged to Bitcoin, and they don't really understand what that means, right? Where, like, for example, Ethereum to the US dollar versus Ethereum to Bitcoin, right? If they're up on Ethereum Bitcoin but down on Ethereum US dollar, right? That whole kind of concept, it is tricky to understand at first, but the regular everyday person isn't going to take the time to understand that. So I think being able to purchase cryptocurrency and obviously the big altcoins with US dollar, or in this case, a stablecoin, is going to be a little bit easier or make it a little bit more appealing for people to, I guess, get into the crypto space or buy stuff outside of what's on Coinbase, right? Because the whole idea of the stablecoin is, or it's a little bit easier to use that and have the stablecoin pegged to the dollar rather than having the actual exchange accept US dollars from a bank account, right? Because you have to go through a whole ton of regulatory stuff to make sure you're compliant with this and with that. So I do think this idea of a stable coin, it's definitely needed in the cryptocurrency space, because just like any economy has a basket to judge the performance of the economy, right? Like the U.S. has in the stock market, right? The basket of goods. You're going to need something like that in the crypto economy to judge how things are going, kind of as a barometer. So I think at the end of the day, the stablecoin issue needs to be solved. If Circle, does it, who knows? Obviously, Circle is a little bit clearer in terms of regulation than Tether, because Circle is a big investment corporation, so I'm pretty sure they're going through all the regulatory steps that they need to get this stablecoin launched. But definitely something to keep your eye on. Lastly, we got just a brief bit of news that Bing is banning cryptocurrency ads. Obviously, we've seen this with Google and with Facebook. I just thought I'd bring this up. I don't necessarily see it as negative news. It's just one of those pieces of news that's, I mean, the majority of the ads that you see on or related to cryptocurrency are just ICOs and those people selling the courses and stuff. So honestly, I don't really think that this is that big of an issue or that big of negative news in the cryptocurrency space. And I mean, like, Bing, who uses Bing anyway? But honestly, I think this is an interesting trend to be watching on what platforms are going to be banning cryptocurrency ads. Obviously, Google and Facebook are the biggest. I think it said that like Google takes like 60% of search engine traffic. So the big players in terms of the advertising space are pretty much out. So I don't think that this is going to necessarily have too much of a negative impact on price or just on the cryptocurrency sentiment in general. So yeah, we are going to continue watching Bitcoin. Hopefully my trade thesis will play out, but who knows? Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I said, I'm going to be cranking these out on the daily every single day of the week. The work week, that is, Monday through Friday. I've got some plans on if I'm going to, or for what I'm going to release on the weekends, kind of some comprehensive guides on certain tokens, so projects that I'm really interested in and really invested in that I know a lot about. I think I'm going to make some kind of comprehensive guide for those, as well as a beginner series for people just starting into the crypto space. I think that that's going to be super important because a lot of people that I've talked to about cryptocurrency and about getting into cryptocurrency, there's a huge kind of wall, I guess you could call it, that they're uncertain about so many things. So I think putting out some kind of beginner guide is going to be really beneficial to the community as a whole and new people as a whole, right? Because at the end of the day, in order for crypto to succeed, we need mom and pop people to be buying into this, right? Not huge institutional players that are going to be hoarding the majority supply of the token, right? That's not the idea behind crypto. So other than that, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.